If you're like lots of people, you are looking for some things to read during the summer months. In this episode, I want to offer some suggestions to add to that list. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Pastor Tim Westermeyer here, Senior Pastor of St. Philip the Deacon in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. Good to be with you as always. We are taping this the week before Memorial Day, and of course, Memorial Day is the unofficial start to summer. And for some people, I think I may have even talked about this in past years, for some people, summer is, among other things, a chance to do a little bit of reading. And so what I thought I would do today is lift up a nice biblical number of seven books that you may want to pick up or read. And, I'll probably mention this again. Part of the power of this kind of platform is it allows people to share with one another what you're reading. So if you have particular books that are on your mind that you are thinking of reading or would encourage others to read this summer, then please mention those in the comments below. So in no particular order, and there's sort of a variety of, I guess I call them genres with these. Not all of them are about theology either. So, but I'm going to start, again, without any particular reason, with one of my all-time favorites, G.K. Chesterton's Orthodoxy. It's not a very thick book. Chesterton, I've talked about this before, is not the most linear writer ever, but he is a genius, and I'm actually rereading this for the who knows how many times right now, which is why it's on my mind. And I just literally had a conversation this morning with a young person in college whose father sadly died last year, and he and I have been trying to connect. And I certainly wasn't quoting Orthodoxy directly with him, but we were talking about, heaven, eternity, what it means to be with God, and other Christian ideas. And as I picked this up a while later and was reading through some passages, it occurred to me how deeply Chesterton's thinking has become part of my own way of thinking and talking about Christianity. So it's an amazing book, and it's worth a read sometime in your life. The subtitle is The Classic Account of a Remarkable Christian Experience. So I would absolutely commend that to you. The next couple that I have are by the same author, Ross King. One is Brunelleschi's Dome. If you've been to Florence, Italy, this is the dome on the Duomo there, the famous church, which I think to this day is the widest or tallest or biggest brick dome in the world. It's sort of an engineering, it's an engineering marvel, borderline miracle. And this story is the story of Brunelleschi's brilliant architectural achievement in creating it. Similarly, he has a book called Michelangelo and the Pope's Ceiling. And that, of course, is about the iconic painting of the Sistine Chapel. I may have mentioned this before. One of the funny stories about that is that the Pope who commissioned Michelangelo to do it came in. It makes me laugh just to think about it. Towards the end, when it was all unveiled, and here he's seeing for the first time what has become an absolutely iconic masterpiece in the history of the world. And the Pope says to Michelangelo, "I don't know. I think it just needs a little something." At which Michelangelo said, "No, it doesn't." Among other things, it's a very interesting exploration between an artistic genius and the patron of that genius, who is maybe not quite as artistically gifted. Anyway, both of those books are really, really wonderful, historic, and focused on a particular bit of art or architecture that's iconic in the Western world. Okay, the next one, I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4, I think that's right, is a book called Wolf Hall. This was an award-winning book, won the Man Booker Prize in 2009. It's by Hilary Mantel. She ended up writing one or two other follow-ups, but this is all about, it's sort of the English Reformation. It's about Henry VIII, and it's seen through the eyes really of Thomas Cromwell, and makes Cromwell, who is usually portrayed as the villain, kind of the sympathetic figure, and in turn it takes Thomas More, a saint in the Catholic Church, who was made famous in a play by Robert Bolt called A Man for All Seasons, which then later became a movie, makes him a little less likable. I'm not saying it's historically accurate exactly, it's historical fiction, but it's a really good read, and it's an interesting sort of thought experiment to maybe get you to think about the characters of that particular historic moment, slightly different from different perspectives, let's say that. The next one is the smallest little volume that I'm showing today. It's a recent book. It's called I Am a Son of St. Augustine. Pope Leo the 14th on his favorite saint. And so this is sort of, it picks up writings and speeches from the current pope, even before he was pope. And he was elected pope a little over a year ago now, I guess. I think maybe even last May, if I'm not mistaken. But it's his connection to St. Augustine, which he mentioned. I think the title actually comes from his first speech as Pope. And as I've mentioned before, Augustine, his shadow looms large over all of Christianity. Martin Luther was an Augustinian monk. So Augustine's a really important figure, and this is sort of one way to view Augustine through the current pope. And again, super quick read. Okay, something a little bit off the beaten path. It's not theology, but it is related to summer. This is maybe the most famous golf instructional book, Harvey Penick's Little Red Book, Lessons and Teachings from a Lifetime in Golf. I don't know if any of the people watching this are golfers. I do love to golf. And if you are a golfer, you know that golf is really hard. And so those of us who do golf, and I'm gonna reread this, go back to sort of swing thoughts again and again, and we try to find the way we're holding the club, or the right move, or the right feeling in order to get the ball going where we want it to go, which it doesn't always do. I'll just, spoiler alert. So this is a really famous book. If you happen to be a golfer, I would commend it to you. And then the last one, and this, I'm coming back now to theology. I think I've mentioned this book in the past. This is by a faith and life speaker from a number of years ago, a gentleman who does a podcast now. I've actually not followed him recently. His name is Peter Enns. This particular book is one of a number by him this one's called How the Bible Actually Works, in which this is the subtitle, in which I explain how an ancient, ambiguous, and diverse book leads us to wisdom rather than answers, and why that's great news. I don't know if that's the longest subtitle of any book in my library, but it's approaching the longest. There are a few that have particularly long subtitles, which is always a little bit tongue-in-cheek and humorous. But this is genuinely a good book, a very accessible book about how to read the Bible and how to understand the way the Bible works. So again, if you're looking for something that's both enlightening and fun to read this summer about the Bible, I would commend that. There are a lot more where that came from, but I will leave it there at 7. Again, I hope you can find some good books to read this summer. If you have ideas for what you would suggest reading, again, include them in the comments below. A heads up for next week, I think we will likely not be having an episode next week, mostly because I'm going to be out of town at a conference. And so I'm hoping that the week after that I can give you a little report on some of what I've learned there, and maybe talk about some of what I've heard and so forth. So until then, I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And until next time, be well, stay in touch, and God bless.